right, here goes. Welcome to the Hillcrest Drive traffic calming meeting. My name is David Greaves. I work with NDOT, helping them design traffic calming projects and hosting these public meetings. Tonight is virtual only, and it's May 30th, 2024, and we're starting at about 6:30. So first slide is just kind of a review of what is traffic calming. This is a program that focuses exclusively on residential streets, and we favor physical solutions to encourage lower speeds over significant lengths. The primary goal of the program is speed reduction, and we'll talk a little bit about why in just a minute. There are 3 E's of traffic calming. That's education, enforcement, and engineering. And on this slide, I have engineering big, bold, and underlined. And that's mainly because that's what NDOT has the most ability to control. So they're able to design solutions for the roadways, and that's really in their wheelhouse. We also do some education, so we like to promote safe driving wherever we can, certainly educating people on why speeding can be dangerous, especially in neighborhoods, is something we like to do. And then enforcement is really up to Metro Nashville Police Department. And while they would love to, be sufficiently staffed to hang out on every street and write tickets, that would be quite an endeavor. So we like to have solutions that are going to be active at all times and not dependent on when someone, can actually be there enforcing speeds. The reason why speed reduction is so important to this program is because it's part of Nashville's Vision Zero goal. Vision Zero is really just the idea that nobody should have to die or be seriously injured on Nashville's streets. And where that ties into speed is, intuitively, a car that hits you that's going much faster is going to do a lot more damage than if it were going at a slower speed. So on the slide, there's a graphic that sort of details if you were struck by a vehicle as a pedestrian going 25 miles an hour, you have an 89% chance of survival. 35 miles an hour is a 68% chance of survival. And then up at 45 miles an hour, if somebody's struck by a car going that fast, they only have a 35 chance of making it out alive. So when we see people going that fast on residential streets, we get really concerned. This is a very popular program. So in Nashville, we have chosen 25 neighborhood streets in this 6-month cycle. And that's out of a pool of like 480 that were in the application queue at that time. So this map off to the right is showing kind of the spread of the program, and each one of those lines is a different traffic calming project that's either been installed, applied, or somewhere in between. So there are a few things that the traffic calming program is able to do as a project, and there are a lot of things that sort of fall outside of the tools that traffic calming has at its disposal. So for anything that may come up that we're not able to take care of with this project, we'll refer everyone to Hub Nashville, which is a kind of a one-stop shop for anything metro related. So there are all kinds of options for streets, roads, sidewalks, etc. Then also other things like trees, public safety, trash, recycling, you name it. So to kind of recap why Hillcrest was chosen, we collected some data after the application was submitted, mainly being vehicular speeds and volume. And then we also looked at the crash history. So those 3 combined, how fast cars are going, how many of them are there, and have there been crashes here in the last several years, those really add up to the vast majority of our scoring system, because that's really what we're mostly concerned about is the safety on this road. Those other 2 slices of the pie, non-driver accommodations and trip destinations, That's asking, are there sidewalks here, and are there schools or parks here? So we include those because we know on roads without sidewalks, we're going to have pedestrians actually in the street. So we want to make sure we're paying attention to those. And then certainly any streets that are in the proximity of schools or parks, we know will likely have more pedestrians walking on them. So that's why we include that piece of the scoring formula. Some specific data about Hillcrest that we collected. The 85th percent speed was 42 miles an hour. That is very fast, especially for this program, and definitely close to that kind of final tier of our graphic earlier, where it really is quite dangerous to be struck by a vehicle going that fast. The volume that you all had, those 625 vehicles per day, really isn't too much relative to other programs or other streets in the program. So what that tells me is that it's not so much the amount of people driving that's the big problem on Hillcrest, but just how fast they're going. And out of the roads that we do projects on, this is one of the narrower ones. 20 to 22 feet is about how wide we measured over the length of Hillcrest, and that's just about enough for two regular sized vehicle lanes. This here's a map of Hillcrest Drive and kind of the surrounding neighborhood. So I've got Hillcrest highlighted there in yellow, but under that is a green line. And that green line means that this project is in the meeting and design phase. So in nearby, we also have Lanier. That's one street over. It also is having a traffic calming project that we've done a meeting for. And actually, the meeting for Lanier Drive was just 2 days ago on Tuesday. Some of the tools that we have in our toolkit, and I guess before I go on to that, wanted to pause and ask, does anyone have any questions about what we reviewed so far?
Yes, I have a question.
Sure.
Okay. Once you're looking at this, oh, I am so sorry. I'm hearing all sorts of stuff here.
No worries. So I've muted both the phone number and the computer. If you'll just unmute one of them, we ought to get less of an echo, I think. So I'm not able to hear what you're saying currently, but there may be like a little microphone with a slash through it that you can hit to.
Oh. Okay, I'll unmute that.
Got it. Yep, I can hear you now.
Oh,
does that sound better?
Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Oh, I'm hearing lots of echoes.
Maybe if you tried just the phone option.
You want me to mute the phone?
I think the phone is muted, but it's possible that both of them are like making the noise and it's kind of picking one up after the other.
Oh, okay. I am so sorry.
Oh, totally fine. It happens all the time. You may, if the computer's working okay for you, you may be able to just hang up the phone and not worry about it. It looks like the computer's muted again. So try unmuting if possible. Oh, there we go.
Okay. I'm going to hang up the phone. Okay?
Sure.
Okay.
Much
And
better.
I don't know if, can you hear me?
Yep. Yeah, I can hear
Oh,
you now, and I'm not getting as much of an echo. So
oh,
I think
good.
we're all
I
set.
was getting three echoes. I'm so sorry.
Oh, no worries. Yeah, that's totally fine.
Okay. All right. Now, my question is this something that is going to be done?
Potentially. Yeah, so the way we handle these projects is a ballot. So what we do is put this design together, present it to the neighborhood, and then we send out postcards to everyone who owns a lot on the street,
Mm-hmm.
and basically the neighborhood just votes. So if 2/3 of the people that vote say yes, they want it, then we'll go ahead and do the project. But if we don't get that many people who want it, we won't do it.
Okay, so I need to listen to all of this to see if it's something that I would want to have done here. Is that correct?
Yep,
Okay, continue on then.
will do. Um, okay, so the Neighborhood Street Traffic Calming Programs Toolkit comprises of the following. Um, so the main thing that Nashville does for these is speed cushions. You may have seen these around on other neighborhood streets nearby. But basically, what these are they're kind of like speed bumps, but stretched way out so that you can go kind of 20, 25 miles an hour and traverse them just fine. Um, and they're 6 feet wide so that smaller vehicles need to interact with them to go over. But then larger vehicles like fire trucks and ambulances aren't affected quite as much since they've got kind of a wider wheelbase. Similar to speed cushions or speed tables, these are basically the cushions but without those gaps for larger vehicles. We'll do these sometimes in Nashville, but not nearly as often. Usually, we only take these out if the road is kind of an odd width that we're not able to do a cushion design that we really like. Um, the reason that Nashville favors these so much over other tools is because they know that they work pretty well. They're an investment that accomplishes the goals at hand. So what we're looking at here are two graphs reporting the results of 6 before and after studies that NDOT conducted on traffic calming projects. So what they observed was an average speed on these streets going from 31 miles an hour down to 22, and then the 85th percent speed from 37 down to 25. Now that 85th percent speed, just so you're aware, is just a number that means that 15% of people measured were going faster than 37 miles an hour, and then 85% of people were going 37 or slower. So it's just sort of a measure of how fast is kind of like the upper end but normal driver going. Aside from vertical measures like speed cushions and tables, we can do radar feedback signs. We'll typically put these on spots where cushions aren't able to be installed. So, like a long, steep hill, we can't do cushions there because of the grade, but we could do a radar feedback sign to just kind of remind folks that even though there aren't cushions here right now, you should still be going an appropriate speed. We can also do pavement narrowing if a roadway is excessively wide. So if there's extra pavement on the edges, that can make drivers feel a little more comfortable going at a higher speed just because there's more room to work with. Um, Adding these stripes sort of psychologically narrows the road, even though we don't change any of the pavement. But it can also increase comfort for pedestrians. Another thing that we do sometimes are called bulb outs. This is where we take an intersection that's pretty large, and we shrink it down by using striping and sometimes flexible delineators. The benefits of these is they slow turning movements through an intersection just by giving less space to maneuver. So we all know that if we're driving really fast, we take big, wider turns. But if we're driving slower, we're able to take much tighter turns. And that lower speed just helps make sure drivers are aware if people are crossing the road, they're not, whipping around corners and potentially hitting people that they just don't see. Another benefit is that it shortens the distance that pedestrians have to cross while they're looking to cross the road. On wide roads, we can also do what's called chicanes. That's where we take the center line of a roadway and sort of zigzag it back and forth. And similar to bulb outs, that slows vehicles by making them do kind of like light turning maneuvers. I will say that Hillcrest isn't quite wide enough for this approach to be effective. But on roads that do have like parallel parking, it's something that we have the option to do. And then finally, we have traffic circles. These are something that work pretty well in like enormous intersections where you have a lot of pavement and it's necessary to actually put something in the middle of the intersection and make it almost like a mini roundabout of sorts. I don't think that any of the intersections on Hillcrest are quite large enough for something like this to work well.
No, neither Hillcrest nor Lanier, neither one of us have anything that much room.
Yeah, that was my impression as well, and that can actually be a benefit, just because narrower roads are usually harder to speed on. But I wouldn't say that it's worked particularly well on its own so far, given our measured speed data. So now that we've covered the tools, we can take a look at the concept that we're proposing for Hillcrest. And essentially, what we have is kind of a typical design that we'll do for neighborhoods, and that's a series of speed cushions. So we have 5 here on kind of the southern section of the road, and then another 5 as we go toward Old Hickory Boulevard. And these are all spaced between 350 and 450 feet apart.
Are you saying 10 of those speed bumps on Hillcrest?
That's correct.
Oh, well, I can tell you right now, I'm totally against it.
Okay, fair enough.
I've lived here for 56 years.
Mm-hmm.
I'm totally against this. There's no reason for, I'm sorry, I disagree with y'all on this, but go ahead.
Yeah, that's totally fine. So I guess I'll elaborate on why we chose 10. Basically, the idea is that we want to space these out at an interval that is enough that people aren't able to get back up to high speeds before needing to slow down for the next one, but not so many that we see diminishing returns. So they're spaced out between 350, 450 feet apart. Essentially, that's why. But to your point, we do understand that these aren't everyone's favorite device, and we wouldn't want to be doing it unless there was that kind of measured need and folks asking for it. Do you have any other questions about the design?
Really somebody asking for this?
Yeah, I'll go to the next slide to help explain. But basically,
Okay.
the way this program works is either a neighborhood association or 4 residents on a street all kind of form a team to submit an application to NDOT. So that was filled out sometime in the last 6 months or so and sent to NDOT. At that point, we got our data collection equipment out and measured those speeds, measured how many cars were driving on Hillcrest, and that's the data that went into that prioritization formula. So out of those, 480 so streets in the application queue, Hillcrest was one of the ones that scored the highest. Right now, we're at that third bubble in the flow chart. That's the neighborhood meeting.
Yeah, no one's ever contacted me about a neighborhood meeting.
Really?
Really?
Got it. But you got the postcard, right?
Yes, I did get the
Okay,
postcard.
that would have been the first time that you were contacted. So this is the neighborhood meeting, like right now.
Oh, okay.
Unfortunately, you're the only person from your neighborhood on it. But the good news is we have the video. So if you'd like to share with any of your neighbors, you'd be more than welcome to.
Well, I know my next door neighbor on one side, I haven't talked to the other side,
Mhm.
but one side said, no, I don't want speed bumps on the street.
Yeah, yeah, and that's totally fine.
Yeah,
Um,
I can tell you if anybody's reported that, I mean, I don't remember any time that y'all had any um equipment on Hillcrest that showed our speed.
yeah, so we don't usually collect our data with those like radar signs. What we use to count the speeds and volumes are called tube counters, and what that is just two like small black. They look like wires that traverse the road.
Yeah,
And
that you're counting vehicles that's going up and down the road.
yeah, exactly. But those take speed as well using a radar device.
Well, I can tell you now, I'm sorry. It's, I will raise holy Cain if there's one speed bump on my street.
Yeah, no,
I,
understood. Like I mentioned earlier, I know this isn't everyone's favorite treatment, and the good news
uh,
is that you all have a say. So do you want me to kind of explain how the ballot's going to work and the best way to engage that way?
yes, how can I, besides Colin, I've had disagreements with Tanya before. I
Mhm.
mean, she's always been nice, and I'm not saying anything about Tanya Hancock. It's just, I don't think like she does.
Oh, sure, yeah, that's totally
I
fine
mean,
too.
after all, I've been in the neighborhood a hell of a lot longer than she has.
No doubt.
Many,
Um,
many years. Okay, go ahead, hon.
yeah,
I'm
yeah. So
sorry.
let's take a look at how the ballot's going to work. So um, the good news is we're going to send one of these postcards to every owner of a lot on Hillcrest. And
Okay.
and those are the only people who are submitting votes for this street because we know that this is going to affect you all the most. So we really want your opinion on whether or not we move forward with the project. So on each postcard will be a unique ID. With that, we can cross check our list versus the list of responses and make sure all the votes are legit. Um, but then ultimately, it's either a yes or a no. So over a period of 6 weeks, we'll have responses come in online. You can also call in. So the postcard will have a phone number if that's preferable for anyone.
Uh-huh.
Um, and it does take a two-thirds majority of yeses for it to go forward. So if 5 people voted and 3 people said yes, that wouldn't be quite enough to move the project forward. It'd have to be two-thirds or above voting in favor.
Okay.
Um,
Okay. Let me go
sure.
back one screen if you can.
Yeah.
All right, where it says respondents can vote yes or no. What do you mean can vote? Are you talking about in presidential elections, or you're talking about on this particular ballot?
So it's not an election that you have to like go to, and it's not an election where anything else is happening. It's basically just an online form. Um, so you'll have the option to either go to the Nashville's website, put your unique ID in, and vote yes or no, or you can call their number, and some of their engineers will be able to talk to you and record your vote that way.
Oh, okay. So if you've got all this information, you can vote because it's asking if you can vote yes or no.
Would you say that again?
It's asking if you can vote.
Oh, um,
And why
I think
wouldn't
I
I
think
be
I see what you're
able to
saying.
vote?
You will definitely be able to vote because you own a lot on
Yeah,
Hillcrest. And so
correct.
your answer will either be yes, I want the traffic calming project, or no, I don't want the traffic calming project. That's all we're getting at there.
Oh, because it's not asking that. It's asking, can I vote or no, you can't vote.
You can vote. Yeah, everyone that is on
But
Hillcrest,
it, yeah, but
and
it doesn't mean I want to vote yes for this stuff.
yep, you can also vote no. So you'll be able to select like no, I don't want the traffic calming project to move forward.
Okay, well, reword the question. See where it says balloting?
Um,
Third sentence
yep.
says respondents can vote yes or no.
Oh, so that's not a question. It's saying you have two options. You can either vote yes or you can vote no.
Okay, that's very, very confusing, and I think that would be confusing for other people. That needs to be redone.
Okay, understood. Yeah, we'll
You
take a
know,
look
ask,
over
are you voting for this or against this?
exactly.
You know, are you going to vote yes, you want this, or no, you don't want this?
Exactly.
Yeah, wrong sentence. Okay, go ahead now. I'm sorry for
No,
interrupting.
totally fine. I don't mind at all. Um, a couple more points about like who's voting in this. It'd be any owner of a residential property whose lot touches Hillcrest. Um,
Mhm.
so you'll see a lot of these on the north, southern, yes, southwestern corner. Um, they may not have like addresses on Hillcrest, but because their lot touches Hillcrest, they'll have gotten a postcard. Um, and then yeah, basically just all these lots here will receive them. Um,
Okay, the ones that are blacked in, is that,
so
um,
they're not actually blacked in; they're just like tons of really skinny lots. I'm sure you're familiar, but there's that section of houses that are like really close together. Um,
oh yes, those tall and skinnies.
exactly. Yeah. So each
Yeah,
one of those is its
8 of
own
them.
lot now, with its own owner. Although I think they may be owned by like the same person or maybe like two people, something like that. Uh,
No, they're actually, well, they were sold individually.
oh, I see. I see.
And they started out at 174,000. I think the last one sold for 260 or 270.
Wow.
Yeah, those are the tall and skinny. They took two big lots,
Hmm.
3 lots, and did that. I wasn't happy. If I had known, I would have voted against that too.
Yeah,
But
understood.
okay, I'm sorry.
No, please, it's totally fine. But where I was going with that is, if you own multiple properties on a given street, you still only get one vote. So we'll usually trim the list down just to not send out a bunch of repeat
Okay.
postcards. And then like operating businesses are ineligible. I don't remember if there was a business like on Old Hickory or not. But we're really only sending these to like residents, since they're the ones most affected.
Yeah, there's a corner lot that's on the, I guess, the east side of Hillcrest is what you would say. And all they have down there, they filled it in with lots of rock, and True Friends uses it,
Oh, I see.
paving company.
Yeah, we
So,
mhm. we won't send them to like vacant lots either. So
yeah,
we'll make sure there's like an actual residence there before we send a
okay.
postcard to them.
So, but there's, to my knowledge, there's never been a house on that lot.
Mhm. Yeah, and we like check all these pretty thoroughly while we make that list. So we'll
Okay.
pick that up.
All
Any
right.
other questions about the balloting or just in general? We can go back to any of the slides you'd
Not
like.
in the balloting. I just don't want any. I just don't. I'm sorry. I do
No,
not.
that's totally fine. It's definitely
This
a
is
perfectly
this,
okay. Mhm.
nothing personal.
I know. Don't worry. I'm not taking offense.
Oh, good. So glad to hear that because I always go that way. And you think about it. I'm right here close to Neely's Bend.
Mhm.
I'm that the second long lot. You
Oh
see
yeah,
over
yeah,
where
yeah.
Neely's Bend is, and you've got the one lot there, and then you've got the two skinnies right across from Blackstone.
Mhm.
That's where I am. I don't care anything about going 1 mile and hitting 10 speed bumps.
Yeah, understood.
So,
And certainly, yeah, we do realize it's not everyone's favorite.
because what I would end up having to do, and this would happen to a lot of people, halfway down through here, we would go back to Neely's Bend and come down here to and take a left onto Neely's Bend and go to Randy Road. That's going to cause more traffic accidents than if we went straight down Hillcrest and then took a right onto Old Hickory Boulevard.
Got it. Mhm.
Because we'll end up going a different way and it will cause more accidents.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, I understand.
yeah. Oh my goodness. Okay. And are we through with our thing or do we have a few more slides?
No, that's the end. So on the screen is my contact information. You're more than welcome to note it down if you'd prefer to keep in touch. And then we've got NDOT social media presence here as well on this last slide.
Now, do you work for NDOT?
So I work for a consultant that NDOT has hired to help him with this program. And I've
Okay.
been involved for the last couple of years, and we work really closely with the NDOT staff.
And I did not grab my pen soon enough, and I am so sorry about my coughing.
Oh, no worries.
Uh, really, I promise you, I'm not sick.
I wouldn't be worried if you were. We're virtual,
Even if
so.
I was, really.
Well, I'm glad you're not feeling under the
Oh no,
weather.
I'm not sick. I just had bronchitis. Oh, a year and a half ago, real bad case.
Oh no,
And I can't get rid of the cough.
I'm sorry to hear that. That's
Yeah, me too.
that bronchitis could stick around. That's for sure.
It sure has done that on me. Okay, I think I got your contact stuff down.
Great.
Thank you, David. David, I sure do appreciate this, but nobody else got on.
No, not tonight. And like I mentioned before, there was a meeting for linear 2 days ago.
Oh,
Yeah.
Lanier,
Yeah. Um, so I
sorry, but
suspect that yeah, some of the people that what may have attended this one went to that one and felt like they'd gotten all they need to know.
well, Lanier is it's not as wide as Hillcrest.
Hmm.
There's parts of Lanier that I even question if two vehicles can safely go down.
Yeah, I think it was as low as like 18 feet on
Yeah,
some parts, and yeah,
I,
with some vehicles it works, but not all of them.
yeah. And then one thing too, David, and I need to call Tanya and let her know. Well, really, you're part of, you're advising TDOT when Google Fiber was coming in this last year,
Hmm.
or time flies with me. I'm getting old. So it could have been even almost a year and a half ago. But as they come through, they cut part of the uh, asphalt out
Mhm.
very jaggedly, and they have not filled in that place at all. It's a wonder we don't have wrecks up there.
Oh, yeah,
And
that would
this,
actually be that would be a perfect thing to submit to Hub Nashville if Tanya hasn't done so already. Um,
yeah,
but you can call 311 on your phone and tell them about it um, if you'd like, because that is kind of the thing that Hub's really great for is requests like that.
yeah. And they, even though they only left a little tiny trench, it's still there.
Oh yeah.
And that ticks me off. Y'all come in and they do such a nice job in paving our street, and then they come in just like those eight skinny, tall houses.
Yeah, they're supposed to fill in the trench appropriately,
Oh,
and
they
often it
did.
doesn't quite get done. Yeah, we
Yeah,
see that
every
a lot,
yeah,
unfortunately.
every one of those skinny talls, they had to go across the street
To tap into the like the water
to
line, I
tap
think.
into everything. But then, yeah, they came back and filled it, but it's still either a bump or a depression.
Hmm.
And so they did a lousy job, whoever filled it back in.
Yeah.
And then we've got that bad hole area where Google did a cutout. It's a wonder somebody hasn't had some real bad wrecks on that one.
Hmm.
So, but David, thank you so much for putting up with me. I sure do appreciate it.
It was my pleasure. It was really nice to meet you, and thanks for joining for this meeting.
Well, thank you. And this has been fun and very educational. This is the first time I've done this with my laptop.
I'm glad to hear it.
So thank you. And I've got down here call 311.
Yep.
Okay. And then how soon will it be that we will get to vote on this?
It kind of depends. Um, we still need to do our site visit and kind of finalize that design. Um, that'll likely be in the neighborhood of like a month or so, and then we'll send out the ballots and the postcards, unless of course a second meeting is desired, which we can do. That'd be just fine as well. But it's up to the group really.
Oh, well, since we don't have, we don't have a neighborhood meetings or anything, um, well, huh, okay. I'll just have to remind, because I don't go around to everybody in my neighborhood.
Hmm.
I leave them alone and they leave me alone. So, I mean, everybody's busy. We don't have time to do all of this. Okay, hon. Thank you. So it could be a month or even 2 months before we get where we would vote on this.
Yeah, thereabouts. And as a reminder, we'll post the plans online, and when that postcard comes in the mail, it'll direct you on where to see them. Uh,
Okay.
so they'll be available for folks to take a look at them before saying yay or nay.
Oh, okay. That sounds good. But do have the questions asked correctly.
Mhm.
I don't mean correctly. I mean, you were correct on the other, but it was just confusing.
Yeah, we'll make sure it's plenty clear on that form.
Okay. If not, you'll hear from me, David.
Please, I look forward to it.
Okay.
All
I
right,
thought,
well.
oh no, we don't want this.
Well, once
Thank
again,
you.
really appreciate your time and hope you have a good rest of your night.
And you too. Thank you.
Bye
Bye
bye.
bye.